amazing by the band. I haven't really had a chance to think what to say. We're completely overwhelmed by what's happened since we came here. It's never happened to us in any other country in this kind of style. We were amazed to see the people at the airport. We just felt very honoured and a little bit confused because we couldn't go out and see them and talk to them.
日本に着きましてですね、国会大歓迎されるのはとにかくびっくりで、羽田に着いた時からですね、言葉によりますと、ビートルズ以来のビートルズを超すイメージにびっくりしたということでございまして、英国にいる間から日本のたくさんの方の彼女はよく知っていますので、今回この歓迎に応えるべく、本日のコンサートが大成功されるように期待しておりますし、皆さんのためにはきっとその方々ができると思います。ブライアン・レクチャーのここまでございます。
So we're just very excited to be here and we appreciate all of you coming. We're sorry we were late. We got trapped halfway up the tower by some school children. You couldn't get in the lift and everything. So thank you for the presents and all the things that everyone sent us that we can't say thank you for individually to you. And we hope we'll give you value for all your expectations on the tour. We're really looking forward to it very much. Thank you.
Come and see us.
Hey, this is Brian. I just want to say thanks to everybody for being so great. We feel really at home. Thanks for the presents and thanks for making such a noise at the concert and giving us such a great time. I think we're going to move to Japan, by the way, all right?
Hello, boys and girls. It's very nice to be in Japan. Thank you very much for the reception and the amazing welcome. And from me and the boys from Queen, thank you very much. Sayonara.
Hello, this is John Deacon from Queen here in Tokyo, Japan. And I'd just like to say thank you, everybody, for coming to see us. And we're just having a really nice time here. It's great fun.
I'd like to say thank you very much for a great welcome in Japan. We really enjoyed our first concert at the Budokan. Hello, folks. And we hope to see you again very soon. I hope you enjoy the film too.
To quote the London Daily Mirror, most rock groups can boast of one or two clever blokes. In Queen, they're all clever. Queen is one of England's new and most exciting rock groups. Can you tell us what Queen is all about?
It's basically a rock and roll band with lots of harmonies, lots of everything.
Can you safely stay in one place? Can you stay in one bag today and be safe?
No, we're not. That's one of the things that I think people can't put us into is one category. We've got so many sort of, there's a lot of ingredients that make up Queen, and you can't put your finger on it, really. It's one of the most difficult questions to start off with, really.
You know, when I read about Queen, I read about how that you like to do albums, but then when you're on the stage, something happens. You feel that a stage should be an entire show rather than just a concert.
That's true. They're two entirely different concepts. They're two sort of spheres of us. And when we're in a studio, we really work for the album and go that way. And when we're working on stage, it's a totally different trip.
Is this the future of where rock is going to? Are you predicting something? I seem to be looking 20 years from now when I watch you work, Fred.
I'm just me when I'm on stage. I'm just me. I'm not sort of laying down any message or predicting anything. I'm just having fun on stage and just trying to put across our music, which is Queen. It's rock and roll.
You know, you could see the working girls at night through their lace curtains. So while we were mixing, we'd have a little bit of diversion. The album came out and sort of resoundingly crashed. Well, it really didn't do much.
Well, it's funny when you make your first album, you know, you go out into the record shops and you think, we're in the record stores now, you know, and you go in and say, have you got the new Queen album then? And they go, what? And it's a long haul.
I understand that in Japan that you couldn't even leave your hotels. That's the
It was
immense
very
popularity.
difficult. Yeah, very
It was this time round. It was we had to have bodyguards all around.
You did see one of the kitchens, though.
In fact, yes, and we were sort of reduced to travelling in laundry lifts and things like that. But the price of fame, they told me.
Skid wrote me a letter about that and said, I study demonology and satanic things. Why do they use Beelzebub? And I suppose that's a legitimate question.
Why do we use it?
Yeah.
It's just why do we use anything? I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean I study demonology and things. I just love them. the word Beelzebub. Great.
Right, well, Freddie, welcome to Countdown.
Hello.
Welcome to Australia. This is actually the first time we've had a chance, really, to talk to you on Countdown, although you've been very much involved with the show as far as film clips and that is concerned, and with the hit records. If we may, can we go right back to the first tour you ever had of Australia, which was that one concert at Sunbury. At that stage, you were still sort of building up as far as the group was concerned. But I remember at that stage also that the group were utterly convinced that that you were going to be a world-class group. Can you just talk about those times?
How do you mean? I mean, it's just something that we were going through. It's a phase we were going through. I mean, that's the first time we'd sort of been to Australia. And I mean, I think that they're very good memories. I mean, I can't remember that much about the very first time. I can remember the larger tour that we did. And I think that was a very good reception for us. I mean, there are numerous little incidents that happened, which were sort of great.
Yes, what I was trying to just go back to, that first time you had already built an amazing visual image on stage, and it was very hard going on at Sunbury, virtually being unknown as far as the group was concerned in Australia.
Coming in out of this cold to sort of do a headline was kind of difficult. I mean, I know at the time we had a lot of competition from the sort of Australian groups there, and it was a very difficult thing for us to come in from the cold. And it's something that you sort of just learn by experience. I think it was a good thing to do, because I mean, we had to, rather than sort of do a slow build-up, just come in there on the top and sort of say, we're Queen, this is what we're all about.
Right.
And it's nice to sort of go in at the deep end. And from then onwards, I think all it needed was for people to see us on stage.
I mean, the most amazing thing was that from an unknown group, and seeing the determination of the group itself, that you were determined in actual fact to break into a world market, that 6 months later, after Sunbury of that year, in Australia, you were in fact becoming one of the world's top groups. Was it hard before that? I mean, like prior
No, I think we've sort of, our sort of history, if you sort of go back, our sort of climb has been very quick, and I think that's, you know, it's just great. I just think we've the ball sort of started rolling, and then it sort of went so fast during, say, Bohemian Rhapsody time. I think things were moving so fast we couldn't even keep up. I think we've been very lucky, actually. I think we've been sort of, our timing has been right, and we've been in the right place at the right time. And say, for example, in America, I mean, we only did one support. I mean, we've only done one support sort of tour in our lives, really. So we have been lucky.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but with the first Queen 1 album, you spent a lot of time in a recording studio at that stage, because you were in fact backed by a recording company,
Yes, we had a production company named Trident, which we don't have anymore.
Right.
They sort of backed us, yes, and through them we had a recording contract with EMI. Yes,
now, obviously you must have spent more time in the recording studios rather than going out on the road at that stage.
Not true. I think it was half and half, really. We did the first album very quickly, really. I mean, it took us about 4 weeks, I think. But it's because we did material that we knew very well. I mean, it was material that we were doing on stage well before. So, I mean, we knew what to do when we went into the studios. Then on, it was all sort of what I call very new material, and a lot of it was written in the studios.
Well, when did the spectacular stage thing, which you had on the first tour in Australia, when did that start to evolve on stage?
I think we had ideas from the very, very early stages. I think it just developed as we got to do more gigs and as we gained experience and things like that. I think there were a lot of ideas that we wanted to try out both on record and on stage. But it's something that you can't do all at once. I mean, you've just got to be in the right sort of stage in your career to do larger things. Like you couldn't start off with a huge entourage of lights, because, I mean, we weren't doing bigger venues. So you had to sort of like wait for your turn. But it came pretty quickly, I think.
Now, with Queen 1, Queen 2, Killer Queen, you were building up an immense album following with those albums. Then, and also, I mean, you were also breaking into the singles market in quite a big way. But with Bohemian Rhapsody and A Night at the Opera, I mean, that was the absolute breakout.
Yeah, well, that really tore the market up. Tore the market up and down, didn't it? I mean, it sort of it just kind of got us a totally different. It got us to a very different area. I mean, the cross section of sort of the public then was so different. I mean, we suddenly realised we were playing to mums and dads, and I mean, like, the people that were coming to see us were totally different. And I think it was a very good thing, because I mean, it was just gathering a much larger sort of audience, really.
Yeah.
And it helped enormously.
Now, for an act that had been so visual on stage, and I'm still referring to the Bohemian Rhapsody time, suddenly, in that year, came one of the classiest film clips that's probably ever been made. And the fact also that it happened to be associated with a group that had probably one of the classiest stage acts.
I think, yes, that was a...
I mean,
it was a very good period for us, wasn't it?
And so I think, gosh, you know, film
yes,
clips really
I think
work.
at that time we were really... things were really falling into place, and I think our sort of ideas were really... really gelling and coming to life. And I think that film idea was ours as well. So, I mean, I think in terms of thinking of Bohemian Rhapsody as a record concept, I think we thought of it in terms of visuals as well. And I think I sort of, myself, thought of... I could really picture that sort of song in sort of visuals. So I think when it came to doing the promotional film, I think it was kind of quite easy from Restrop Audio. Quite easy, because people think we spent hours and hours making that film. In fact, it took literally about four hours, I think. And
but
we just had it all
nonetheless,
planned
you were
out.
breaking a lot of barriers by this stage, because number one, I mean, the album was going bang like that. You were putting on an enormous stage show by this stage. You had a song with Bohemian Rhapsody that started to break rules because of the fact of the duration, and songs, even though back in, say, the late 60s, they were reaching the 7-minute mark. In this period of time, it was unheard of to have a 5-6 minute song sort of thing. And yet you were absolutely adamant that no one was to cut that down.
I think basically what we do is the way we choose singles are sort of, they're album tracks, basically. I don't think we actually write a single and say this is going to be the single. And what we, I think, try and do is try and, with each album, try and work out what is... where our music is at the current given time, and try and showcase it in say one single, in one sort of number, and that's what takes the sort of single format. With Night at the Opera, we just felt that Bohemian Rhapsody was the song that would sort of say what we're doing at the given time. So we sort of chose that. Now, obviously, we came across certain barriers, like it being 6 minutes long or whatever, and we said. I mean, there were numerous rows. I mean,
well, the recording company wanted to, in actual fact, edit it.
Edit it and things like that, yes. And we just thought, there's no point. You either sort of hear it in its entirety, or pick another song. Yeah. And I think we were so sort of confident with that sort of number. I mean, it is a risk, I know. And we either thought it was either going to be an enormous flop, or a huge success, you know, depending on.
Well, I mean, both the single and the album became, I mean, like, chart monsters, and I noticed that, in fact, Bohemian Rhapsody won an award the other day for one of the best compositions.
BPI thing.
Yeah, over the past 25 years. The pressure then on the group must have been immense to do the follow-up album, which was A Day at the Races.
True. I think people will, obviously, no matter how hard you try, will think of in terms of your past hits. That's inevitable. But I think it's up to the group and the musicians to really think in other terms. From my point of view, I mean, as far as the writing side of it was concerned, I really thought, I said, okay, Bohemian Rhapsody, big hit. But as far as my writing abilities were concerned, I think I could write better anyway. And I just looked at it from that point of view. I mean, I just went and wrote, from my estimation, I think a song like Somebody to Love is, in my estimation, a better sort of, from the writing aspect, a better song, you see. But I mean, it's very difficult, because obviously people think of sort of songs in terms of hits, obviously, and then they will obviously say, well, Somebody's Love was not as good a song because it wasn't as big a hit. But it really depends on how you look at it. From my point of view, I think my writing ability is getting better.
Well, I remember virtually this time last year, or actually it was a little bit earlier, and I was over here, and you were slightly down, and correct me again if I'm wrong, because you were spending, the whole group was spending so much time, you seemed to be locked away in the studios at that stage.
Oh God, I know. Those days are gone, thank God.
Yeah.
I think we actually said goodbye to that kind of production after Day at the Races, actually. And on the new one, the News of the World, and we actually decided before we went into the studio that we weren't going to spend so much time. Because I think we've learned enough now to actually try and make quicker decisions. And we've learned...
Just cut up there around Tim and put a new mag.
Can you get that a couple of inches of your foot though? Right.
Rolling.
Okay, rolling.
And mark it.
44-1.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong again, but I remember being over here this time last year, just a little bit before, in fact, and you seemed sort of slightly down, depressed, the fact that you were spending all your time in the recording studios, locked away, in fact, you said, you know?
Yes, that's true. We're still getting bills from from the Day of the Races. I think we decided from the start of this album, even from the onset of actually writing the material, that we weren't going to spend as much time in the studios, because I think we've done to death the sort of multi-tracking harmonies and the lavish productions and things. I think we've done it with Night of the Opera and Day of the Races, certainly. And I just think we felt that we needed a change, anyway, from the writing aspect as well. And so I think we wanted a much fresher and a sort of raw approach to songs.
Which brings us to the new album, News of the World. The title itself is sort of almost intriguing. The fact of being sort of a name from a well-known classy paper.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But what's more intriguing of hearing the album, and so the single itself, titled We Are the Champions, the lyrics in We Are the Champions could almost be read in many ways.
Well, you tell me, what do you think?
Well, the first time I heard it and I looked at the lyrics, I wasn't sure, because after Bohemian Rhapsody, Night of the Opera, and then it got to the Day at the Races, which wasn't as big a album as perhaps everyone was expecting it to be. But looking, and there was a fair amount of criticism, I didn't quite know whether We Are the Champions was a sort of a subtle thing of saying, well, you may think, you know.
I think we always write songs like that. It really is up to the listener to make up its interpretation. I think it's nice. I think up to now, I think even now, it's got to a stage where we do it subconsciously, you know. I mean, and we write, especially my songs. I mean, they don't state very categorically. I mean, they're very sort of, they can go into different sort of areas, and I like that actually. I mean, it's a nice escape for me, from the writer's point of view, but I think from the listener's point of view, it's nice that they can make up different interpretations. So basically, if you ask me what it's all about, I would say it is tongue-in-cheek, and it's not to be taken too seriously. I mean, my God, I can't be serious.
No.
You know, it's something that I wanted to write a song that was very cold and calculated, and kind of to the point. And basically, it was a song of sort of participation. I wanted people to sort of participate. I was looking at it from the sort of the show point of view as well, how we were going to sort of do that. And I just thought, why... I wasn't going to sort of beat around the bush. I thought I'm going to be as blatant as possible.
Well, can I just interrupt there?
Yeah.
I remember also you saying last year that was sort of like being, you might as well be in a jail the time you were spending in the studios. And I notice here you've said, I've done my sentence but committed no crime, and bad mistakes, I've made a few.
Theatrical. That's all very theatrical.
Right, and then it keeps going, and then it says, which is probably makes a lot of people think, I've taken my bows and my curtain calls. You brought me fame and fortune and everything that goes with that. I thank you all. But it's been no bed of roses.
Yeah. It's my way of saying that to a lot of people, I mean, that's like, a lot of people think being a rock and roll star is kind of going to a studio, making a disc, and then going around spending all the money, which I don't think it is. And I know that a lot of people do realize that, but even at the same time, a lot of people don't. They think it's a very easygoing life. And I mean, like, a lot of people still think, when I say, oh, we're going to America for a tour, they think, oh, nice long holiday. And that's just my way of saying that it's not easygoing. I mean, God, I mean, don't for one minute think that it's all peaches and cream.
Well, I find
There's
it
no bed of roses.
I find it intriguing then.
It's
that,
hard work.
That suddenly, I mean, like this album, and I don't know what yourself or John or Roger or Brian were anticipating, but suddenly this album's only been out a day or so. It's already broken into the albums chart in England. It's got rave reviews in America so far, of the people that have heard it. The single is just becoming a giant.
It's working for us. We're very pleased, actually.
Yeah.
It's nice. I think it's a very good step for us because we're moving away from what people thought. I mean, they thought there's going to be another Marx Brothers title.
Yeah.
There's going to be another very overproduced album. And I think they're in for a shock because, I mean, a lot of it sounds very different. And it's very interesting from our point of view because I don't want to sort of churn out the same old formula or the successful formula. I mean, I don't particularly want to sort of write a whole load of rhapsodies, you know? And it's very interesting for me to write songs like Get Down, Make Love, which is sort of something that we're not used to doing. So it's interesting from our point of view. And if it comes out okay, it's great, you know, something new.
Now, may I ask you a couple of pertinent questions?
Oh, what are they?
The first one being like one of the world's top groups and living in a country, well, I mean, it's true.
You're going to ask me about taxis, go on.
No, I'm not.
Thank God.
Living in London, with the punk rock craze coming along.
What's that?
Does it become a challenge, you know, in the sense where you're finding these amazing contrasts, and like you'll find the punk rock writers who will follow a certain stream and may try to put down the established top world acts of today. I mean, is it a challenge to you and the rest of the guys?
It's always been a challenge. It doesn't matter what, even if there is a new movement or call it what you want, there's always a challenge. I mean, take for example the charts today. I mean, at the moment, I feel there's enormous competition with just the established acts. I mean, there's ELO, there's ABBA, there's Rod Stewart. So, I mean, you know, there's always competition, and we're never going to sort of... I'm never one for resting on my laurels, really, because I always know there's that competition, and that's what keeps us, you know, keeps the driving force there. Well, but with the new stuff, I think it's all healthy. I think there's always going to be a kind of a new movement, because, I mean, that's how we started.
Can I be bold to say that then I think it almost brings the cunning out in you? I think you almost enjoy it.
Oh, yes. I mean, the day where we sort of say that, well, we're the greatest or whatever, I mean, there you are, we're the champions. I mean, it's not meant to be taken...
But one could almost look at it that way as well.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly haven't hit our peaks. I mean, there's always... You've got to keep going. I think there's so much we still have to do. So I think the competition is always there, and whether there be a punk rock movement or call it what you like, it's all there.
Now, may I tick you off, just you and the rest of the group off, just in this one sense, where you've done 2 amazing television specials, in the sense that they're in the can, especially the Hyde Park concert, and like I was lucky enough to be in London and see the concert. But really, the rest of the world awaits to see Queen and Hyde Park on video and television.
I think everybody's...
The rumour is that the reason it's being held up is that they're waiting for Queen to go in and edit it.
Who told you that? No, actually, what is being done at the moment is we're doing a sort of, I think, an hour to an hour and a half long documentary. I don't know if I told you that. And that's where I think that's going to be very good for us, because I think a lot of people have been waiting to actually not just see little spasmodic...
Which we did see as far as the singles stuff was concerned.
Yeah, I think people now want to see a more in-depth sort of thing on Queen. And I think a documentary is really inevitable now. And we're sort of working on it right now. So, I mean, I think the release date is set for February in this country. Right. And then ultimately it's going to go all over the world. So I think it's going to be much more sort of, much more in keeping of what we're doing, rather than sort of see the odd promo films.
Well, can I congratulate yourself and Brian and John and Roger on a great album.
Well, thanks very much,
and,
you know.
And a good single. And all I can say is thanks for being on Countdown, and you've got to come down to Australia soon.
Will do.
Thanks very much, Fred.
Thank you.
Do you enjoy record production, Fred? Do you enjoy working in the studio?
Yes. You can get sick of it, though. especially now, we've decided that on our albums, we wouldn't spend as much time as we've done in the past, because I just think that, especially with News of the World, I think we actually did decide before we went in that it was going to be a short album as far as Queen stands concerned. I mean, so that was like 2 months instead of 4.
I'm Brian May, and I play guitar for a group called Queen.
My name is John Richard Deacon. I was born on August the 19th, 1951.
I'm Roger Taylor, and I'm the drummer and one of the singers of Queen.
Enthusiasm took over when I was about 13 or 14 with the Beatles.
Then there was kind of a revolution in England, and English people began to play rock music as such, and in fact sort of led the way for a while. You know, there was, for instance, the Cream, and Jimi Hendrix is not exactly English, but kind of an English phenomenon because he was embraced in England first. And through listening to those people, I got more keen on some of their influences, like B.B. King, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, those early, quite primitive guitar players, but very influential on everybody today, I'm sure.
And I took piano lessons when I was in boarding school, and of course I didn't think at the time that I was going to make music my career, but I was always interested in music. I think I obviously had a musical streak, so I used to sing along, and I was in a choir.
I played in a couple of groups, but only amateur groups. One was called 1984, strangely enough. One was called Smile.
And Smile was the band which Brian and I formed with one other person. There were just 3 of us.
I remember there was a time we actually we were sharing flats together, so living in while we were in different bands. And one day they wanted their singer decided to leave, and they were auditioning singers and this and that. And I was right under their nose. It was so funny. It never actually occurred to them to ask me.
And it was when Smile broke up, and Brian and I decided we liked working together, and we wanted to form a new band called Queen, which we did with Freddie.
Well, I built my own guitar, and it has a particular sound. I worked on it with my father for about 2 years when I was about 18. And it's different from anything else. It just has a different sound, and it has a wide range of sounds. And I knew what sound I wanted. I was just lucky to be able to find it, really. I knew that I wanted it to be thick and warm, but with some sort of edge to it, and to be able to sustain and sing.
Roger and I were ripping people off before, just with all sort of antique clothes and things, just to make enough money to eat at that time. And before we actually had a contract, and then and in those days we hadn't really made up our minds that we were going to make it a commitment, because Brian still wanted to do his BSc and things, and you can't really be successful in this game if you have other ties. You have to just give up everything. You really have to.
So it was Freddie, myself, and Roger, and we advertised for a bass player.
I actually gave up playing music the first year. I was at college, and then in the second year I was really missing it, so I got my equipment down to London. I played with one group at my college, and then I heard about this group called Queen who were looking for a bass player.
Because I'm such a forceful character, they were in Smile, and I said, well, I can't join you and become... it's just like the way I feel is that when somebody new takes somebody's place, it's just everything's got to be new. And so this was a completely new chemical reaction, and it had to have a new meaning and a new title and everything, so that we felt fresh. We actually hated it, but it was just an outrageous thing at the time, in the days of so-called, it was called glam rock or whatever, And in those days, they started painting their faces and everything. It was the David Bowie time, the Roxy music. In a way, it's sort of happening again. It was just a phase that people were going through, and I think the name Queen actually fitted that time.
And our real lucky break was really doing some test sessions at a new recording studio being built. And we went in there, it was 16-track, and we recorded a few songs. And it was from those demos that we eventually got our first record deal.
It was very difficult in the beginning, because technically you can't do that without a lot of money. You have your amplifiers on stage, and in order for the vocal harmonies to be on top of all that noise, you have to have a big PA, which obviously we didn't have. So we used to borrow things and steal things. And
Yeah, Killer Queen was like the first thing that broke ground worldwide, as it were. I think in England and in Britain, I think Seven Seas of Rye is a track that actually, that's the track that actually broke us in England, but I don't think it did anything anywhere else. But Killer Queen paved the way.
Bohemian Rhapsody particularly was Freddie's baby, you know.
With Bohemian Rhapsody, it was basically I was writing 3 songs, and they were meant to be different, and I just couldn't finish them, and I just thought, oh, damn it, I just put the 3 together. That's when so-called volcano erupted, you know, it was just suddenly, just went bang. You know. It was one of the first videos that actually got the attention, the type of attention that videos are getting now that needs to sell records. And I remember when it was out in America, all people went up, a lot of people that, of course, hadn't heard of it were buying it, thinking that we were a black act. And then would come to see us, our shows, and they realized we were all white.
They didn't go away, huh?
No, well, they waited through the whole, because we used to play that as an encore, and there were all these blacks in the audience sitting, going, "My God, these whites are playing this rock crap." Well, number one, I don't dream about David Bowie at all. It's just, and to actually dream about making a song with him is beyond my capabilities. But it's just that we were friends, and sometimes when different artists come together at the right time, and if the characters are right, that's more important than anything.
That idea of the naked girl to run.
That's why you like jazz.
Not the fucking music, you like the naked girl. No, we're thinking about the music. That's it, good idea. There's a lot of problems. Stringiamoci la certo quella cosa lì. Sì, ok, d'accordo. Affare fatto. Ok, sufficiente, vediamo.
Okay, ready? Okay. Hello everyone, this is DJ...
You're not making us laugh.
Okay. Hello everyone, this is DJ Television, and we're here with Queen.
Ciao, this is John Deacon from Queen.
Ciao, DJ Television. Roger Taylor from Queen here.
Primate, DJ TV, hello.
Okay, this is the first time you've been on tour since '82 when you did that Japanese tour. Why did it take so long to get back on the road?
Because we didn't want to tour for a little while, did we? And also we had to make a new album first, and that took a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, we got very tired, and we'd been working a lot, and making a lot of records, doing a lot of touring.
Yeah.
We decided we wanted to take some time off, so we thought. And then we just got together again, made an album, thought we'd get it back on the road again. It's nice
Sounds
to
so
be back.
simple that way.
This what?
Sounds also simple that way. Just, you know.
It was actually, it was quite a hard time because we felt we were getting too close to everything, and you know how it is. You know, when you get too close, you have to go away. You know, so we did. And now we feel much better. It works because we're back on the road, and it feels good to be back.
Yeah. Why did it take so long to come to Italy? I mean, this is the first time you've been here in concert.
Well, we've always been told that there were difficulties in playing here. It's not the easiest place to play in the world, and I think there were some sort of political problems. But we wanted to come to Italy for years, and we thought this was the right time, really.
Yeah. It's a shame we couldn't have come earlier, because I'm sure it would have been, you know, very good for us as well. And also, you know, it was just one of those things we never dared to take the risk before, did we? Because you hear, you know, quite a few stories about problems at shows in Italy.
Also, it's like an accident of history, because you find that if you sell records someplace, then you want to go there, obviously, you know. And in Italy, was never a very big place for us. So we always said, okay, we go to Italy, but first we have to go here because we sell lots of records and they want us, you know. So you tend to sort of go where the tide goes.
Until Radio Gaga came out, and then you went to
Radio Gaga did very well, and we did San Remo, which was something different for us, and now it seems like that's.
You know, you hear about groups doing like one song or one album and then splitting up. You guys have had 13 albums out. How do you manage to stay together?
Well, we're sensible. We're not stupid.
We're staying apart.
As much as possible.
Now, there's no point in just forming a band and then getting some success and getting so big-headed because you get successful. You know, you're too good to talk to each other and you want to break up. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. Who thinks of the ideas for your videos? They're pretty theatrical.
I do.
Very modest, but they come from different ideas each time we do a song. You know, it depends on the song and who's directing it and everything. You know.
Yes. Usually for everything we do, an idea will come from somewhere, and then we talk about it, and it will grow. You know, because for the stage, for the videos, generally there's somebody else involved. You know, like there will be a director in the case of a video. You know, but we always talk about it and we evolve it together.
Have you done the video for Hammer to Fall, the new single?
Yes.
What's that like?
It's totally not what the others were. It's really us live on stage, and that's it. And I think we're very pleased with it.
Yeah.
Very, very pleased. And it's because it was time, having done all the stories and the arty-farty stuff, you know, it was time to show up that we can still play. Because I think the people who only see the videos forgot that.
Yeah.
Especially in America, possibly. So it's, you like it?
Yeah, it's quite good because it actually shows us as we are now with the same show on tour now. So it gives people a good idea of what they would see if they came to the show.
Okay, Roger, you've had 2 solo albums out. What about both of you two, John and Brian? Any solo plans?
Not yet for me because I can't sing, so I'd have to use somebody else. But,
for you? Solo plans. Do you have any plans on that?
Well, not for the moment, because we're going to be very busy with Queen again. You know, we've had the time when we were doing our solo things, really, and now we're going to be touring, I think, for the next year, off and on, and there won't be that much time anymore.
Yeah.
Roger has a solo album out.
And A Strange Frontier.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Thanks. Thank you.
So after this tour, what next? What happens to Queen?
Another tour somewhere else. And then I don't know, hopefully we'll make another album next year. And I think then we might go to America.
Okay.
And Australia. And Japan.
And New Zealand. And Hong Kong. Yeah. I don't know. Anywhere there where people would like us to go and play.
Okay. I'd like to thank you. If you don't mind saying goodbye to DJ Television, I'll let you do the honors.
Goodbye, DJ Television. Thank you very much.
We were sitting there, and the Tour de France, you know, the cycle race came through and inspired Freddie to write Bicycle. And for some strange reason, inspired me to write Fat Bottom Girls, although there might have been other inspirations there.
2 members of Queen, Brian and Roger, and welcome. This is your first time in a limo, isn't it?
Thanks. Yeah, we've never been in a limo.
What is a limo?
Well, we're going to do something rather unique here, I guess, in that we're going to conduct this interview in the back of the longest stretch limousine I've ever seen.
This thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like an apartment in here, isn't it?
We could do a gig in here, I think. Where's the Sunset Boulevard?
Yeah.
I remember the first time we came to LA.
Yeah. So do I. Long time ago.
Sort of did the gig, and we did Santa Monica Civic the first time we ever came here.
Right.
And played at the Rainbow, and thought this is... What a strange
Played
place this is. No, not played.
Oh,
played
yeah,
around
yeah,
at the Rainbow. Not actually played our instrument.
Yeah.
and thought, my God, what a strange island of odd humanity this is. And I didn't think it was a place that I'd ever want to be again.
I liked it.
He loved it and I hated it. Now I love it and Roger doesn't normally want to come here, but I feel very at home in LA now, it seems.
You do?
I feel always one step higher spiritually in LA. There's something
you're
about
the only one.
It's very strange. A lot of people don't feel that way, but I come here and I immediately feel somewhere more central to what I'm doing. And I find I can bring people up, I
You
can
feel
play with
spiritually
people.
one
I love
step
it.
higher.
And I love the sunshine. I remember seeing a big thing up for Led Zeppelin, a billboards, because everyone used to have billboards, and that was the sign of success. And we saw Zeppelin at the Forum at that time.
That's right.
And I thought, Jesus Christ, if we ever made this kind of thing. I mean, that was widening our horizons, because we thought, or at least I thought, in my naivety in those days, I thought, if we play something like the Rainbow in London, we've made it, and there isn't anything after that. Suddenly to see these things, and I just thought, God, it's a world. If we ever get to that sort of state, that'll be it.
A girl there once, and she got her breasts out, and it's in the middle of the meal.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You just eat them.
She got her breasts out?
Yeah, right in the middle of the restaurant, in the middle of the meal.
What
So
occasion
just a little
this?
aside there. I can't remember quite why.
Did you marry her?
No. I wanted to at the time. Nick Lowe wrote that great song, great title was What's So Bad About Peace, Love and Understanding? Yeah, and what is so bad about it?
Yeah. Was there a particular story that that touched off the song Scandal?
I think this is yours.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's something which has affected us individually as members of the group recently. It's very strange because we were fairly famous for a long time in England, the last 15 years or whatever, but we didn't become a prey to these kind of scummy papers until recently. And it's not related to what you're doing, they're not interested in what music you play or anything. They just want the dirt, they want to make, and if they can't find any, they'll invent it if they choose to pick on you. So we were all going through a lot of changes in our lives, and suddenly it became a big problem, and in a similar way, you heard about what they did to Elton, these stories about Elton and everything, which he sued them for and got £1 million off them, great. Well, they did very similar things to me, particularly to a certain extent to Roger, and Freddie also had been through it a little while before. But this thing is total, steam in and destroy someone's life. Yeah. They really are the scum of the earth. There's no, you can't exaggerate.
It was a time when we were starting off, it was fashionable to just go on stage in your jeans and be dirty and play and put your head down and never look at the audience, and if the audience has a good time, then fine, And we were a reaction to that. We thought that's not the way, if we have one night in one city, then we want to give ourselves as much as possible. So we will use any device to get closer to those people, So we said we'll do a show. It will be dramatic, it would be glamorous, it would be a complete experience which can blow people away.